Dallas in command. Denver is also in command right now. John, a 10-0 lead over the Chiefs. Freddie Steinfurt, a 23-yard field goal to go with a Rob Lytle 2-yard plunge. Denver, the Broncos are on top 10-0. First and 10 Cowboys. Slot formation to the right side. On first down, Carano is sacked. Number 88, Herb Orvis, the 10-year veteran out of Colorado. You wonder, John, what goes through a 10-year veteran's mind playing on a team that has lost 12 consecutive games. He's been here for the good years, the playoff years, and now a dismal season.
There is a flag on this play, but a guy like Herb Orvis, I mean, is reaching deep into his gut for that ability to continue to play on a dismal situation on a 1-12 team. And he certainly played well for them. He's really been the spark plug, one of the guys that's held their defense together for the last couple of weeks under very difficult circumstances. Circumstances continue to get more difficult for the Colts. Another costly penalty. Here's Ben Wright.
Defense, number 54, tripping.
Sanders Shiver, the 6-year man out of Carson Newman. Unusual penalty when you're on the defense. First and 10 Cowboys. All the way up at the 37-yard line of Dallas. They shift back into the eye. Tony Dorsett is back in there. Behind Ron Springs. Dorsett, another 9-yard pickup. Reggie Pinckney, the 5-year man out of East Carolina, in there on the hit. And it's interesting to see that Tony Dorsett is back in the game, because Tom Landry is a man that does not believe in resting his people. He wants to keep that momentum going. Tony Dorsett's back tightened up a little while earlier. Another coach might have set him out for the rest of the game when you're leading 27-13. Tom Landry says, look, if your players are healthy, you play them. We asked him about Danny White. If this were Philadelphia instead of the Baltimore Colts, would Danny White have played? He said no, he's not ready to play. And Glenn Clarano has done a fine job running that offense today. Ron Springs punches it up close to the 50-yard line. I've got to believe, though, if this were Philadelphia, if the division were on the line, you'd see Danny White in there. We asked him that question, and he said, no, you wouldn't. Oh, I know. I stood there with you. 9:03 and counting left to go in the football game. Dallas trying to increase their lead in the NFC East to 2 full games over the Eagles, who were upset at RFK Stadium in Washington by the Redskins today, 15-13. First and 10 Dallas, driving again, approaching midfield. Backs are split. Dorsett and Ron Springs. Pearson in motion to the near side. On first down, right on the money, man wide open, incomplete. He had it and was stripped of the football by Reggie Pinckney. That was Tony Hill. You don't see Hill drop many of those. He makes much tougher catches than that. Good recovery by Reggie Pinckney, and he got his hands in there to pull Tony Hill's arms. Look at yards rushing. Tony Dorsett. 160 yards to Baltimore's 135. And if you take away Dickey's long run, you can see what Baltimore is doing on the ground today. Dorsett, 27 carries. Tony's best game of the year, by the way, 162 yards. That came back in early September against the New England Patriots. Second down and 10. Carano up top. Rifle arm. Tony Hill, incomplete. And a fine defensive play by number 54. Sanders Shivers, the 6-year veteran. How about that? A linebacker, one-on-one, stride for stride with Tony Hill. And he had help deep from the defensive back, but it's amazing to see Sanders Shiver going so far, so deep downtown to help out on this play. Take a look at it. Shows you about the mobility of the linebackers in the NFL. They have to be able to run as well as hit. Here he almost makes the interception. That's Bruce Laird, number 40, coming over the top to drag Hill down, but it wasn't necessary. 8:30 left in the football game. Clock stopped on the incompleted pass. Third down and 10 yards to go. The Cowboys will go from the shotgun. Pearson wide to the near side. Hill at the top of your screen. All kinds of time. Misfired. Incomplete. Could have been interception. It was deflected, intended for Drew Pearson, and the Colts will get the football back. John, Baltimore is playing very well defensively in the second half. Exactly, and that's a credit to Mike McCormick. Watch this. This ball is just thrown very high. Drew Pearson tries to go up to get it, tips it with his right hand,
Colts are around, but no, didn't make the interception.
That's 7 straight incompletions now for Glenn Carano. He is 7 out of 17 for 51 yards in his first start. 8:24 left to go. There is a man you might have seen start a week from today against the Philadelphia Eagles. But if Dallas has a 2-game lead over Philadelphia, you might see Carano again if the game means that.
Oh.
White on a bootleg. He'll get a first down and more. Danny White out of bounds. First down, Dallas, deep in Baltimore territory. How about that one?
Can you imagine your quarterback, the man who is the best quarterback in the NFC, a man you're not playing today because you need him down the road for the playoffs, running with the football from punt formation? Watch it again. Wisely.
Is it a design play, or did he do it on his own?
I have to say that he did it on his own, but wisely takes it out of bounds. Tom Landry's heart must be in his mouth.
If he did it on his own, I'd like to hear his explanation when Tom Landry said, "What in the world are you doing?"
I know there are a few fans down in Dallas wondering what he was doing. They need Danny White down the road for those playoffs. And it's certainly next week against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Tony Dorsett, his 28th carry of the football game. First down and more. Dorsett around the left side. Herb Scott, along with Pat Donovan. Big hole over there. Bruce Laird, number 40, chased Dorsett out of bounds. Dorsett, if he keeps going, could have a 200-yard afternoon.
And you sense that the Dallas game plan coming in here was to give the ball to Tony Dorsett, let him do his thing. And I sense as I watch Tony Dorsett that this is a more mature, stronger Tony Dorsett, who has taken on the leadership role of the Dallas Cowboys. He's married now. He has a child. I mean, things are settled down for Tony Dorsett. I think there was a time when maybe he lost his concentration. You don't see that anymore. Tony Dorsett is in there for every single play.
His previous best game, as we said, 162 yards against the Patriots back in September. One more carry for Dorsett, and it'll tie his career best. End around. Cosby fumbles the ball, but out of bounds. You know, you talk about the Dallas Cowboys game plan. Certainly they would have to figure on Dorsett an awful lot against the Baltimore Colts. Dallas came in third in the NFL in total rushing, and Baltimore was 26th against the rush. So you would think in designing the game plan that Tom Landry and that Cowboy computer would want to feature the running of Ron Springs, who has 2 touchdowns on the ground, and certainly Tony Dorsett.
Well, against the Colts, to be honest, you probably think you could also pass because they're 27th in the NFL, giving up over 260 yards a game. So in truth, the Baltimore defense is not a good one, though they've acquitted themselves very well today.
Into the line, but no hole there, as it was sealed off quickly by the front 4 of the Colts. Not much going there on the 29th carry by Tony Dorsett. The Buffalo Bills have tied it up against the Chargers. Joe Ferguson, a 3-yard run. Buffalo 7 and San Diego 7. Now, Tampa Bay, they got a touchdown by Jerry Eckwood. The Falcons got their second field goal. They're in the second quarter there. Luckhurst from 44 yards out. He had one before from 38. So it's 7-6. Tampa Bay trying to take over the top spot in the NFC Central after the Lions and the Vikings both lost. Third and a short one. Double tight end alignment for the Cowboys. Dorsett. First down. If they give him forward progress, it's first down.
It was Jones carrying. What a fill by number 52, Ed Smith, the middle linebacker position. What I was saying about Baltimore before, it's not a great defensive performance for them when you see Dorsett getting all of that yardage, but you have to remember that the Colt offense started off the game with an interception way down deep in their own territory. So Baltimore's defense has not folded. They've hung in to a game, and they're only trailing 27-13.
Well, significantly, with 7 minutes left to go in the game, if Septien can hit here from 22 yards out, make it a 32-yard field goal, it'll be the first points the Cowboys have put on the board here in the second half. He got it. A 32-yard field goal by Septien out of the hold of Charlie Waters, and the Cowboys increase their advantage to 16 points. 30 for Dallas and 13 for the Baltimore Colts. Septien will tee it up. The Colts will get a couple of more shots. The outcome not really in doubt. Dallas awaits the Eagles.
There's a new starlet here on Broadway. Introducing the 1982 Toyota Starlet, a Toyota born small to kick the gasoline habit. To kick the gasoline habit with more miles per gallon. More miles per gallon of gasoline than any other Toyota. The 1982 Toyota Starlet. Its mileage will light up your life. Starlet.
If your morning shave has turned into a nightmare, gotcha. Wake up to the exclusive twin-action Norelco Rotatract razor. Inside 3 floating heads. Twin-action grips and raises hair up. Then razors hair off, closer than ever. For twin blade closeness without a nick or cut, the twin-action Norelco Rotatract razor. Quarter rechargeable. Because for close shaves,
there's no action like twin action.
End-over-end kick that they battle for down at the 5-yard line. Zachary Dixon Fields gets to the 15, near the 20, and not much more. Colts have 6 minutes, 33 seconds left to go in the football game, and they're down by 17 points. Dallas 30-13. How about next Sunday here on the NFL on CBS? It all, of course, begins with the NFL today. Then the New York Giants will be at St. Louis. Both those teams very much alive for a wild card berth, as are the Green Bay Packers. The Saints are not, but they are always tough at the Superdome down in New Orleans. And then, of course, the second half of the doubleheader. The Eagles upset by the Redskins today against the Cowboys, trying to increase their lead to 2 full games. Very important, though, John. The Eagles, even though they lost today, and the Cowboys, even by winning, Dallas cannot clinch the division. They have already clinched a playoff spot. Butler is open at the 35. First down, Colts.
Nice throw by David Humm. He throws it over the linebacker, number 58, Mike Hegman here. As you watch Butler taking it upfield, doing the square out deep. Perfect throw here. Butler makes the catch for the first down.
And Dennis Thurman comes up with a good hit. The 4-year man from USC. 6 interceptions for the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys lead the NFL in interceptions with 30. Everson Walls, the rookie, number 24, has 10 of those 30. Under 6 minutes to go. Humm will have to go up top if he wants to score. Curtis Dickey across the 40, near the 43-yard line. Benny Barnes, the 10-year veteran out of Stanford, a free agent. Boy, that was some find.
You know, you talk about that Dallas defense, and statistically, it's a strange situation. I mean, they rank 25th in the NFL versus the pass, yet they have the lowest completion percentage allowed. So sometimes statistics can be misleading. That particular stat is based on total yardage. It's kind of the bend but don't break principle for Dallas.
Butler wide to the left side. Roger Carr to the right side. Curtis Dickey again. Across midfield down into Cowboy territory. And you certainly would have to wonder why they're keeping it on the ground this late in the football game. John Dutton, the former Colt, in there on the tackle for the Cowboys, the 8-year veteran out of Nebraska. So you've got a couple of former Sooners, a couple of former teammates going against each other there. Dutton for the Cowboys and David Humm for the Colts. Carr to the near side, Butler to the top of your screen. Curtis Dickey now 15 carries, 130 yards. Humm misses everybody. Reese McCall, the tight end, turned it inside. Humm threw the ball outside, and it goes for a long incompletion.
You have to wonder why David Humm doesn't use his safety valves. He had Dickey and McMillan standing around a few yards away. A guy like Dickey, as you look at his stats for the day, excellent day, 130 yards, is terrific out of the backfield in the open field. That's where you want to get a great back like that, one-on-one in the open field. Yet Humm hasn't done that. He hasn't dropped off to his backs all afternoon.
Actually, John, that was Curtis Dickey's career best performance in what will be a losing effort here this afternoon. It's got to be terribly frustrating for the Baltimore Colts, what they're going through. Slot formation to the right side. Backs are split. Second down and 10, 4.5 to play. Straight ahead. Cleveland Franklin out of Baylor, a free agent in his 4th year. As the Colts going very conservative, trailing by 17 points. they know the outcome is really not in doubt. In Seattle now, Richard Todd to Scott Durking, 11 yards, and the extra point is no good. Both extra points in that game have been missed, so it's the Jets 6 and Seattle 6. How many extra points have we had missed today? The Redskins missed a couple. Wood missed one here this afternoon.
Is anything automatic in the NFL these days?
Under 4 minutes. Hum on 3rd and 6 can run for it if he wants. Fires to Curtis Dickey. Fumbles the football. The Cowboys get it back. Everson Walls on the recovery. 1st and 10, Dallas. Curtis Dickey would have been stopped shy of first down yardage. He made the pass reception, coughed up the football. Everson Walls recovered. 1st down, Cowboys. We'll be right back.
Before I swing for the bleachers seaties, I get the Edie's for my Wheaties.
Before I slam my gorilla donkeys, I get the Edie's for my Wheaties.
The Edie's for Wheaties, that undeniable, irresistible urge for the crispy, crunchy, whole wheat taste of the breakfast of champions.
Before I put on my little cleaties, I get the Edie's for my Wheaties.
Part of your good breakfast.
Good service isn't giving people what they expect. No, it's giving them more than they expect. Avis knows that. So when you make a reservation, Avis makes a commitment, and they honor it.
Morgan?
See, even if you're 6 hours late, now you might be willing to pay a little more for this service, but at Avis you don't have to. Trying harder is still the best way to do business.
Tonight on CBS starts with 60 Minutes. Then it's Archie Bunker's Place and One Day at a Time. Stay tuned for Alice and then the Jeffersons, followed by Trapper John M.D. Quite a lineup all tonight right here on CBS. Great shot by our director, Bob Daly. Moon over Baltimore. 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. Carano at controls. James Jones has replaced Tony Dorsett. Timmy Newsom has replaced Ron Springs. It looks almost the same. Goodbye, James Jones. Touchdown, Cowboys. "59 yards for James Jones, second-year man out of Mississippi. His first touchdown on the ground, a third-round draft pick in 1980. And the Cowboys take out one spark plug and they put in another.
When you look at James Jones, he reminds you a little bit of Tony Dorsett, that same kind of quickness and speed. Here, great cut right there. Nelson Glasby takes it in, and just Jones off. Oh, another good cut. Number 42, Derek Hatchett missed. He made 2 defensive backs miss. Takes it all the way for the touchdown. And how deep are the Cowboys? Every time you turn around, there's a new player breaking a game open for them.
If we could see that one more time, I want to show you the block by number 68, Herb Scott, the 7-year veteran, and what a job he did. He was like a bulldozer. Snap, spot, kicks, perfect. Cowboys go back home to Texas Stadium with a 2-game lead in the NFC East to greet the Philadelphia Eagles. Take a look. Watch Herb Scott. Boom, right there as he leveled number 52 for the Colts, Ed Smith. James Jones, 59 yards. We'll be right back.
He was as practical as any of us, but he hit it well. Behind a certain flair and style of living, even the car he drove, a 1982 Cutlass Supreme. An Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. To the casual observer, it was the epitome of style, offering no visible clue as to how practical the man who owned it really was. You see, he knew. Even today, there's still room to do it with style.
Left in a very long afternoon for the Baltimore Colts. The Cowboys will fly back to Dallas and await the arrival of the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles will be in down spirits for about a week. They've lost 3 games in a row today, upset by the Redskins at RFK. Cowboys coming off a Thanksgiving win against the Bears. You can see more confusion here on the Colts coverage team. That's the second time that's happened. Dave Shula, son of Don Shula, And they don't have any dummies up at Dartmouth, and that's where the rookie is from. You Ivy Leaguers like to stick together, don't you, John?
There aren't many of us in the league
to get back there and fall on the football. We told you at the top of the telecast, a battle of quarterbacks starting their first game in the regular season, John, and there are the stats on the two quarterbacks this afternoon.
Not that far off, fairly even in comparison, but it's a supporting cast. Carano with that fine Dallas team, Hum with problems in Baltimore. But I think it's fair to say that David Hum is not the answer for the Baltimore Colts. It's kind of a stopgap measure.
So if you're the Colts organization, you've got to wonder. There's Roger Carr with his first pass completion on the afternoon and a cold first down up near the 40-yard line. If you're in the Baltimore organization as a player, you have to wonder first who's going to be your coach next year. It will obviously not be Mike McCormick. You might speculate as to whether or not there might even be a change in the front office as far as the general manager is concerned. One of the Colt players told us privately earlier in the afternoon that the feeling among some of the Baltimore players is that the owner, Bob Irsay, is mortgaged right up to the next television contract with the NFL as far as money is concerned. If money were not so tight, he might go out, and this is a quote, and hire a real general manager and a real coach. Well, I think that's a little bit unfair because Mike McCormick is certainly a real manager. Incomplete for Reese McCall. And Dick Szymanski is certainly a real general manager. But there are all kinds of problems here in the Colt organization. No one can dispute that fact. You have to wonder who's going to be running the draft and who they'll draft.
And who they'll draft. Of course, the controversy centers around Burt Jones. In the option year of his contract, will the rumors continue to fly? Dick Young in New York paper suggesting that he will, Burt Jones, that is, will go to Los Angeles in a trade there. But I think, and we heard it from the organization, that they have to get that young quarterback that is the franchise. And I talked to Gil Brandt a little bit about this year's draft.
Second down and 10. David Hum, flag on the play. In and out of the arms of Curtis Dickey, but a flag back at the line of scrimmage. When talking to Gil Brandt, he was not so convinced that Art Schlichter, the fine quarterback out of Ohio State, is actually the man you want to revolve your franchise around.
He knows that Schlichter is a fine quarterback, no doubt about it. He'd like to see a little more of him, as a lot of people would. Certainly the postseason games are important to Art Schlichter to see if he's the number one pick.
Defense offside, number 72.
But the Colts definitely need a quarterback to build around, build a future around. They could also use some defensive help. That fine defensive tackle Kenneth Sims from Texas. They say his injury isn't much. He'd be a great pick for them. After that, Marcus Allen. They don't need a Marcus Allen. They have a Curtis Dickey. They have a McMillan. So in this year, it's slim pickings in the draft. And we'll get back to that in a moment after this play.
Second down and 5. Incomplete. His arm was in motion, and David Hum in a little bit of pain down there. Looked like he might have slapped it up against Too Tall Jones or Harvey Martin. Clock, of course, stops on the incompleted pass. Interesting, you mentioned Sims, the fine defensive player out of Texas. There are more players on the Baltimore Colt roster from the state of Texas than are on the Dallas Cowboys roster from the Lone Star and State.
But talking to Gil Brandt again, he said this year was a very thin draft because of that rule 4 years ago, a freshman eligibility rule. An awful lot of colleges redshirted their players. So he said it's one of the thinnest drafts in recent years.
Third down and 5. Cowboys into the nickel. Colts coming, look out. Intercepted. Benny Barnes, the 10-year veteran out of Stanford, inside the 40, down close to the 35 of the Baltimore Colts. Loose football, and who got it back? As everything else has gone this afternoon, it goes the way of the Dallas Cowboys. Benny Barnes comes up with another interception. We mentioned that the Dallas Cowboys lead the entire NFL with 30.
And frustration and anxiety etched on Mike McCormick's face. What else will go wrong for him? Watch this. Hum delivers. He's under pressure. The ball wobbles. Barnes steps in front. This is easy pickings for a defensive back. What happens here is he doesn't see the receiver coming from behind. Tackles the ball. That's Butler. But it went out of bounds, so Dallas keeps possession.
San Diego Chargers have just gone in front over Buffalo by a score of 14-7. That's a key battle as far as the AFC West and AFC East wildcard situation is concerned. 2:14 to go. James Jones, who broke it from 59, will watch his running back mate, Timmy Newsom, knife forward up in the vicinity of the 30-yard line. Ed Smith on the stop. And now Buffalo just as quickly comes right back. Roosevelt leaks from 9 yards out. The Bills 14, the Chargers 14. Larry Canada, 2-yard run for the Broncos. Craig Morton back at the quarterback controls. 16-0 over the Kansas City Chiefs. And our score here stands the Cowboys 37, the Colts 13. We're at the 2-minute warning. Jim Kelly, John Dockery back at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. 2 minutes left in regulation. The Cowboys in complete command, 37-13. Glenn Carano, 5 years National Football League experience, handing off to Timmy Newsome. Cowboys obviously content to keep it on the ground. That's where they've been so successful this afternoon, John. Over 336 yards rushing. Tony Dorsett, 29 carries, 175 yards. Ron Springs, 16 carries for 40 yards. And James Jones, just 5 carries, but 80 yards. Of course, one of those he broke for 59 and a TD. There's David Humm. Tough game for the youngster out of Nebraska, former All-American. Word from the bench now, he may have a dislocated finger after hitting his hand on the helmet of either Harvey Martin or Too Tall Jones.
The man standing with him, of course, was Burt Jones, and it's been a tough year for Burt Jones also.
Sanders Shiver finally grabs James Jones, but not before Dallas picks up another first down. Around the NFL today, Green Bay upsets Detroit. So the Lions lose, as do the Vikings. We'll tell you about that in a second. The Giants still very much alive for a wild card with that 3-point win. Chicago upsets the Vikings. So Detroit and Minnesota drop to 7-7. The Cardinals still a wild card hopeful. They destroy New Orleans. San Francisco surprises the Bengals in Cincinnati. 1st and 10. 49 ticks on the clock. Timmy Newsome gets the call.
Interesting, excuse me, Jim, interesting game next week when Minnesota is at Detroit. We'll really find out if Detroit is unbeatable at home. They're 6-0, but Minnesota has to go in there and try to beat them in order to stay in that race as you look at the standings in the Central.
Tampa Bay winning right now by a point. Detroit and Minnesota tied. That's next Saturday here on CBS. It all starts, of course, with the NFL Today, a special Saturday edition, and then the Lions and the Vikings duet.
Bart Starr, before the year began, said if his team wasn't at least 8-8 or didn't have a winning record, that he would leave. They're coming on strong now. They have a good shot at that Central Division championship.
Barring a penalty, this will be the last play of the football game. Timmy Newsome into the line, and the Cowboys go back to Texas Stadium, a big winner over the Colts, and enjoying, more importantly, a 2-game lead over the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East, with the Eagles coming into Texas Stadium 1 week from today. There's your final score. The Colts have now lost 13 games in a row, and Tom Landry, the only coach the Cowboys have ever had, congratulating Mike McCormick. Tom Landry, 16 seasons in the playoffs for the Dallas Cowboys, the 7th consecutive season that he will have his team into the playoffs. They clinched a playoff spot a week ago, and even though the Eagles have lost and the Cowboys have won, Dallas has not yet clinched the division. The executive producer of the NFL on CBS, Terry O'Neill. Senior producer, as you saw, Charles H. Milton III. Today's game produced by Ed Gorin, directed by Bob Daly. Next Saturday on CBS Sports Saturday, Wake Forest against Marquette, NCAA basketball action. And then, of course, we will have for you the NFL Today and the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions from the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Awesome display by the Dallas Cowboys on the ground, John Dockery.
And you get that sense, Jim, that the Dallas Cowboys are building. Finally, they've blown someone away. They're building for the playoffs. They have Philadelphia next week. They go on after that to end their season and then on into the playoffs, having already clinched at least a wild card spot. Looks like they're heading for the division title. Baltimore, meanwhile, just can't wait till the season ends. A horrible, horrendous season for them.
So now this is Jim Kelly saying so long for John Dockery from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Once again, the final score, the Dallas Cowboys 37, the Baltimore Colts 13. Next Saturday, begin your day with CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball.